8 things you need to think about when grading your cards. What's up guys, it's DJ back with another video. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about 8 points that you need to think about when grading your Pokemon cards, Dragon Ball Z cards, whatever cards you got. These are 8 points that I think about generally. So hopefully this helps you out if you're new to grading, if you're thinking about grading and you're not too sure how to go about it. So these are 8 points. Before we get into it, guys, I just want to say thanks so much for the subscribers and all that stuff. I have another booster box giveaway announcement coming up very soon. We just gave away a Rebel Clash booster box 2 days ago or something for 1,000 subscribers. So I will have another giveaway up very soon. So if you like Pokemon content, if you like Dragon Ball Z content, if you like that kind of stuff, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you do not miss out on the next giveaway. Anyway, let's talk about this. So guys, the very first point I want to make is, why are you grading? Why are you grading your cards? Are you planning to resell? Are you planning to have it in your collection? I think those are the 2 main reasons why people grade their cards. And, you know, picking which one you want to do really affects the way you go about it, right? So it really affects your choices and what you do later down the line. So try to think about why you're grading these cards. If you're planning to resell, I think there's a few more points that you really need to think about. But if you're planning to just grade for your own collection purposes, I think that answer is very simple. You just grade the cards that you really like. You grade the cards that you want. Maybe you have a childhood card that you really want to encapsulate and protect and keep safe. You might not be too concerned about the grades. You might not be concerned about the fees or, you know, how much your card is worth after that. But it's for your collection. It's for your own personal preference. My favorite card might be, I don't know, a Primeape card, because my favorite Pokemon is Primeape. So I could grade a Primeape card, but I have no intention in selling that. So, you know, it's like just done and done. One and done, right? So if you want to grade stuff for your collection, feel free to do so. I think condition still might play a part in that, because I know there's people that just collect PSA 10s or PSA 9s or PSA 8s. So they might be just looking at condition as well, which we will touch on later in this video. But for collection purposes, you just grade whatever you like, right? So that's just really that. But if you're planning to resell or invest or whatever like that, I think there's plenty of points that I need to cover in this video. So guys, whether or not you're planning to resell or to grade to collect, you want to decide, am I going to use a middleman or not? I think most of us use middleman, especially if you're a casual collector or you're just someone just grading casually, not grading every week or every day or whatever like that. So, you know, deciding whether you need a middleman or not. I think most of us use the middleman because it's just time efficient. You know, for someone like me, I work 6 days a week. I do YouTube. I have kids and a dog and all that stuff. So I don't really have much time to do it all by myself and, you know, do all that paperwork and all that stuff, which I've heard can be complicated for certain companies, but also it can be difficult if it's the first time doing it. So middleman is very easy. They may charge a little bit of an extra premium because they got to do that work, but that's what really you're paying for. I use the Hurricane Collective. I use Mac. I've interviewed him on this channel. Very trustworthy guy. I highly recommend him if you're in Australia. But, you know, I like to grade with people I know and I trust and I have a relationship with. And I think that's really handy because, you know, I'm sending valuable cards to them, so I know I can trust him with them. So that's my point about middleman. You know, find someone you trust. Most of the prices are about the same. Some are a little bit cheaper than others, but at the end of the day, you know, I send it to someone I trust. I've seen a cheaper service out there, but I'm probably not going to use them just because I've been with the Hurricane Collective and Mac for a while. So, you know, I just prefer to use the same person. But it's entirely up to you. If you want to do it yourself, do the research, find out prices, find out, you know, you got to pay a membership fee to whichever company, PSA or Beckett. And, you know, there's a few costs involved and a few other things you need to think about with that. But I won't go too much into detail. Just decide middleman or not. It's entirely up to you. That will lead me to the next point. Are you going to grade with PSA or Beckett, CGC or CGA or whatever like that? I highly recommend, if you are planning to resell, you know, it's either PSA or Beckett. I mean, the other companies are so to say, up and coming, or, you know, I guess they all have their own faults and benefits and positives and negatives and stuff. But, you know, what I've seen and what a lot of other people have pretty much told people, it's just out there that PSA and Beckett are the most reliable. They've been around the longest. They usually add the most value to your cards if you're planning to resell, and, you know, you're going down this route of selling your cards. So at the end of the day, you want to try to make the most value out of your money, or, you know, the most money you can. So you're going to grade with the most reputable, the one that people usually buy from. A lot of people prefer PSA. A lot of people prefer Beckett over CGC or CGA or any other grading company. And it's proven in prices we've seen in sold listings and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's entirely up to you what company you choose. I just highly recommend those two companies because they are the biggest. They've been around the longest. And you can tell that they really do add value to your money when you get those high grades. Those premium grades, you charge for a premium price. That's just how it is really in this market in today, 2021. So once you've decided why you're grading your cards for your collection, or, you know, to resell, and you've chosen middleman or not, and you've chosen PSA or Beckett or whatever, or you might choose a combination of both if you're grading multiple cards. Some cards only get graded from Beckett, and some only PSA. I'm pretty sure PSA don't grade certain cards and Beckett do. Beckett, yeah, maybe. But once you've done all those, then you want to decide what cards you're going to grade. You got to pick the cards that can sell. Now, this is where it kind of really differs from collecting and investing, or / collecting and reselling, because when you're reselling cards, you want cards that can sell easily, or, you know, because you want to make money as quick as possible, right? That's kind of the reason why you're selling. Some people aren't in a rush to sell, but at the end of the day, you want to pick cards that can sell. You might not be a Charizard fan, but there's a lot of Charizard fans out there. Those cards do sell. So if you can get a Charizard, or if you can get a card that is very popular, all right? I think there's really two cards that you can get. You can get something that's really popular, or you can get something that's really rare. Now, I've spoken about this a lot, and a few other people have as well. Rarity is really king in this hobby, or in collectibles in general. Those cards are the ones that stand the test of time. Usually they are the best investments long term, because they hold their value most of the time, right? Because of that whole rarity scarcity, there's only a limited number. There was a limited print run. Maybe there's only 10 in the world, 25 in the world, low population. You know, those cards, you know, because they're rare, they usually hold their prices. Now, that doesn't mean you can't make money from popular cards or set cards or highly demanded cards, right? Because there's plenty of money to be made with those cards too. So I'm not going to say, you know, just go for rarer cards. You can go for high popular cards, but just be aware they are they're more riskier, all right? They're riskier for price drops, and considering the time frames that you send your cards to get graded and they come back, the price might be, you know, either up or down or whatever like that. They're just a lot riskier, but if you're willing to risk that, then that's fine by you. Like, you know, fine by you. You do what you got to do. You do you. But, you know, that's how it is, right? So I think, you know, I have a few cards, very popular, and some rare cards. So, you know, you got to pick your poison, maybe have a balance of both. I know some rare cards are really expensive to get and stuff like that. But, you know, a lot of high-end collectors, they like those cards, so they will still be sellable. And popular cards will always be sellable because they are popular. However, demand does change, and, you know, people's tastes change as well. So when that changes, a once popular card might not be as popular anymore by the time you get your cards back. So just keep that in mind too. But yeah, so picking cards, very important. Pick the right cards. Pick the cards that sell. You wouldn't want to, you know, try to grade Weedles from base set, even though, you know, base set is older. It's a vintage card, but it's a Weedle. I'm not going to say nobody, but it's a card that probably a lot of people wouldn't pay money for, or they would pay money for, but it's going to be like $50, you know? So those kind of cards, if you buy that card for like $1 and you can sell it for 50, you know, is it worth it? Yes, no. We will talk about that in one of the later points. Point number 5 is condition. As I was saying before, condition is key. And it's very important in this hobby. The whole reason why you're grading cards a lot of the time is for condition, to keep that condition there, keep it safe, keep it protected, and also let people know that, you know, this is the highest condition, a PSA 10 or a black label or a pristine 10. You know, those cards that have the high grades usually, you know, grab a premium price, and I think we all know that. The higher the grade, usually the higher the price. And there's collectors for all sorts of grades. Some people collect 1 to 10 and just 10s or just 9s or, you know, just 5s, just really random numbers. But there's all sorts of collectors out there. But I think generally the general market likes 10s and 9s, and, you know, the higher grade, the better. So, you know, when you're picking your cards, you got to look at condition, even if it's for your collection or for reselling. If it's for your collection, you know, you might only want 9s or you might only want 10s. So you'd be looking at the condition of every card you buy before you buy it. Or, you know, even when you pull it from a booster pack, if you buy, you know, buying a booster box and you open it and you pull a really rare card, you might be like, well, it's a rare card, but it's really off center, or it's just, you know, ugly or bent or distorted, or it might affect the grade, it might have scratches on the hollow. You know, I think it's up to you to decide, is this condition good enough? Some companies provide pre-grades, so you can, you know, go for that option, but then there's a bit of an extra cost there, so you got to keep that in mind too, because you are reselling. You got to add up your costs and stuff, which we will talk about in one of the later points. But condition is very important, especially if you're buying from eBay or whatever like that, and they say near mint. You know, you got to ask for more photos, look at it, maybe ask for a video, or if you can pick it up, you can see it before you buy it. You know, condition, very important, especially if you want those high grades and you want those premium prices. I could make a separate video on that, but I know there's a lot of people who's already done those kind of videos where what to look for, what to look on your card to see whether or not it's going to get a 10 or 9. Nobody really knows, because, you know, we've seen some 10s that are probably not 10s and seen some 9s that are probably more like 10s. So, you know, at the end of the day, you just got to try to find the perfect card, or the card that looks like it will grade really high. So, you know, there's usually some 4 points with, especially with Beckett. You know, when you get those subgrades, you can kind of see the centering or the surface is clean or not, you know. So even pack fresh cards can be off center, or, you know, there's a scratch through the holographic or whatever like that. You know, those affect grades. But keep that in mind, you know, some cards are really expensive, whether you get a 9 or an 8. So it still might be worth grading, especially if you get like a really grail card or a card that's worth a lot of money. You know, sometimes people show me this card, you know, this is a first edition Charizard. Should I grade this? It's just yes. You know, just do it. Like, those kind of cards will usually grow in value, even if it's graded as a 3 or a 4. You know, not every card is like that, but there are certain cards out there, if you look it up, you know, just grade it, right? So, especially the truly rare cards, you know, you can have a really vintage card, 20-year-old card, you know, and it's only got like 10 copies in the world or something like that. And a lot of the copies are just damaged. So it's just how it is. So I'd suggest just grade it anyway, but that's entirely up to you. Condition, very important. We can talk about that in a future video. Let me know in the comments if you want me to elaborate on any of these points that I say in this video. But let's move on to the next one. All right, point number 6 is the time factor. All right, so we all know PSA, Beckett, a lot of these grading companies have so many cards they got so many cards, right? So they can't keep up with the cards that are coming in. So there's a lot of holding on the wait times and stuff like that. There's cards have been there for like a year or 8 months or 12 months or 10 months or whatever like that. And you got to be aware of that, especially when you're sending. All right, so it used to be fairly quick. You can pay extra to quicken the service, you know, premium service or whatever like that. But then you also got to add that into your cost factor, which can affect your profit and all that stuff if you're planning to resell. So, you know, you might just have to wait. And, you know, some people have spoken about this before about, you know, you send your card today, in 12 months time it comes back and it's tripled in value. It can pretty much work the other way around as well, especially with modern cards, you know, because they fluctuate so much as well. There's cards that were $200 and now they're like $50. So, if you're grading today, that card, the potential in that card, if you're looking for the potential in that card, and you'd be like, well, that card, if I grade this, if I grade it and it comes at 10, it'll be $200. In a year's time, it might be only like worth $100. So you just got to keep that in mind too about the wait time. If you're planning to resell really quick, if you're a flipper, or if you're a long-term investor, you might think about that too. That's where the rarity comes in, which we were speaking about before. But yeah, so wait time, very important. And can you wait that long? Are you patient enough to wait? And that whole anxiety about, you don't have your rare cards with you. They're somewhere else. They're overseas. Especially, I'm in Australia, so I have to send it to America. For someone like me, it can be a bit like, whoa, when's it going to come back and all that stuff. But it is what it is. I just trust the process. Do it Philadelphia 76ers style. Just do it like that. So can you wait? And that wait time, like some people are here to make quick money. So maybe just don't grade it and just sell it raw and flip that money, and instead of grading. And a lot of people suggest grading because it maximizes the value of the cards, but a lot of people can't wait 6 months. A lot of people can't wait a year to get those cards back. So just keep that in mind as well. Time factor. Nowadays, 2021, market is huge. A lot of cards at PSA, a lot of cards at Beckett, backlog. You might not get your card for another year. So next, number 7 is grading fees, guys. So a lot of companies or a lot of middlemen charge for the fees up front, and you got to decide, can you afford that? Because not everyone has that kind of money, especially if you're sending like 50 cards or 100 cards. It really does add up, right? So in America, I think it's like $10 to grade a card. You're sending 50 cards, 50 times 10. You're looking at $500 US, or in Australia it's like $20 to grade a card. So if I send 100 cards, that might cost me $2,000, right? So, and if that fee is up front, can you afford that? Maybe you only need to send 10 cards at a time, 20 cards at a time, because that's more affordable. Just something to keep in mind, guys. Grading fees is there, all right, which will lead me to the next point about the profit and the sales, the costs versus the profit, kind of side of things. But yeah, grading fees. Luckily enough, my middleman, he actually charges the fees once the cards get back. So if the cards take 6 months to get back, usually, or 8 months or 10 months or whatever it is, I have time to save. So when he gets the cards back, he's like, all right, your fees were $500. I'd have that $500 by that time. So, maybe just before you grade, consider the prices. Usually middlemen tell you how much it is per card, and it depends on the value of the card. There's a lot of variances here, but just have money ready so then you can actually have, pay for your cards to get graded. I know a lot of places charge those fees up front, and yeah, so you got to decide how many cards you're going to send, and can you afford to send all those cards? Maybe you need to send half or 2 or 1. Really depends on the values. But let's go to the next point. Point number 8, the very last point. All right, guys, the last point. Point number 8. Hopefully these tips have been helpful so far. But number 8 is the costs, the overall costs, and what you're gonna versus your profit. And a lot of opening channels, they open up packs and say, oh, I got a $500 card if it grades a PSA 10. Nobody knows what grade they're gonna get. All right, these are just predictions, and they're just saying what the card is worth in PSA 10 value, and it might not come back at that grade. So something to just keep in mind as well. But a lot of the time, people don't really calculate the costs. They just say, I sold my card for $1,000, But what if it costed them $900? It really depends how you got the card. Did you buy it raw? And how much did you pay for it raw? And you got to take into account the grading fees as well. So if you buy a card raw, it was a $5 card, and grading fees might be $20, all right, Australian. I don't know. I think in America it's like $10, $15. It really depends on what service you pick, but let's just say average $20 in Australia. So that card automatically becomes a $25 card, not a $5 card, because you had to pay to get it graded. So $5 for the card, $20 to get it graded, $25. Now, If you're looking at potential, what you're going to make, look at sold listings, look at the psaprice.com or whatever it is. Look at the market, look at what it's selling for. All right. So if it's currently selling for $50, at a PSA 10, it comes back a PSA 9. You can't sell that car for $50, unless prices have gone up at that time in the year's time. Who really knows? But you got to try to play it safe and, make that wiggle room, right? So you spent over a year to grade this card because it takes that long. You get it back, it comes back a PSA 9. Okay, that's possible. You spend $25. You want to sell it for, I don't know, $30 or $40. People will look at that and be like, oh, I can buy PSA 10 for $50. So if it's only $40, it's $10 cheaper. Might as well add $10 to get the PSA 10. You know what I mean? So you might actually have to sell for like 30-ish to make that sale. And if you sell that car for $30, what is your profit? $5. Some people say, oh, well, my profit is, I bought the car for $5, I sold it for $30, so my profit is $25, but they forget the grading fee costs. And, your time is money too, all right? So you have to search for that card, A lot of people don't really count time because, this is a collectible hobby. Even this, YouTube, I don't really get paid for YouTube just yet. But, at the end of the day, if you do it because you enjoy it and you like it, you don't really count the time. Time's not really money. When you watch a movie, you might have paid for the ticket, but you don't really count the 2 hours that you spent in the cinemas watching that movie, all right? So, or if you go out for dinner, you're paying for the dinner, but you don't count the time that you spent there. So, because you enjoy it, you did it for fun because you did it because you liked it. So, if you're grading cards because you like it and it's fun and you like the process, then feel free to do so. But if you're here purely just to make money, it's possible, but there is a lot of time involved and a lot of research, and you got to find some bargains. With Pokemon, there's a lot of deals, just, hard to find deals nowadays. There's always deals, but if you're looking for vintage, modern, you probably can. Vintage stuff have kind of dried up a little bit with good prices and good condition cards. A couple years ago, people were buying lots of cards, of old school vintage cards, really good condition, and grading them and selling them for profit. It's hard to do that now. It's just so competitive. A lot of people are here, so people know values, people know condition stuff. They all know these kind of things, especially the guys who've been here longer. But yeah, hopefully these 8 tips have helped you. Let me know if you have any questions down below in the comment section. And we'll see you guys next time. 2 to 3 days. Bye.